Essentially, Nirvana started out as an underground punk rock band, releasing their debut album Bleach in 1989. And although it may not have been selling millions of copies or anything, it was a very solid album and did show the world that this new band, Nirvana, had a ton of talent and a ton of potential to go just as far as they wanted to. But to be ultra world famous and to be massive celebrities was something that the band did not necessarily aspire to at all. They worked really hard, rehearsed their songs relentlessly. Kurt would make sure of that. So they were a very hard-working band. And as members of the band have always said, they would be just as happy playing to a small crowd of 500 people as to playing for a crowd of, say, 5,000 people. Don't get me wrong, Nirvana were ambitious. And of course, they wanted to be successful and get their music out there. What band doesn't, right? That's kind of the point of the whole thing. And of course would have dreams of becoming known and being successful with their music. But when they did become successful after the release of their second album, Nevermind, I don't think anybody, even the members of the band, were quite ready for that level of success that they got. Just how big they became. From one moment being relatively unknown to the next, being on every television show and on the cover of every magazine, would be quite a shock to the system.
You know, the punk rock underground was kind of like ethically suffocating. You know, you were conditioned to reject any sort of commerciality or conformity, any sort of like top 40 radio, things like that. So then when your band becomes popular, like, what do you do? Like, how do you reconcile those two things, or how do you justify that, you know? And it's difficult. I mean, it's one of the things that really affected Nirvana. None of us ever thought that we were going to be this gigantic band. We were perfectly comfortable in our little corner of the underground, doing it the way we'd always done it. But unfortunately, Kurt's songs were so good that millions and millions of people connected to it.
Fame, they say, can be a double-edged sword, and in this case for Nirvana, maybe it was. They followed Nevermind up with the brilliant In Utero and followed that up with the amazing Unplugged in New York set, a performance which many will tell you is one of, if not the best Unplugged performances of all time. But then it all seemed to be over just as quickly as it had began when lead singer Kurt Cobain was found dead in April of 1994. A very tragic ending indeed. And as Dave Grohl said there himself, Kurt's songs were just so damn good, liked by everybody, and the band really was just such a phenomenon when they broke out. And as I mentioned before, of course, when you're a band, you want to be successful. But in the end, did things just become so big, so uncontrollable? Answers to questions that really we can never find as to why it all ended just the way it did.
If you don't really want to, you know, be in some huge band and things get really crazy, I mean, things get crazy, but it's not really that big of a deal.